Hey everyone, welcome to the VO Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Ann Ganguza, and today I am very excited to be here with a very special guest, 20-plus year radio vet turned voice actor, Jim Fronk.
Well,
Jim,
thanks for having me.
Oh, Jim, let me just tell the listeners a little bit about you. Jim
by
has
all
been.
means.
I'm glad that you were so excited. Thank you for being here, Jim. Let me tell our listeners a little bit about you. You've been behind the microphone in your happy place since you were 10, the tender age of 10. And since then, Jim has been acting and singing his way into our hearts, doing improv, stand-up comedy, live announcing, DJing, on air, and now he's in his very own 5x8 padded closet, capturing our hearts. So, Jim, thank you for being here with us today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that I'm padded because the funny thing is I got out of radio because it got so impersonal. I started voice tracking and I was on 6 different stations, 9 different stations, 6 different states at the same time. And I was just in a 10 by 10 room recording and I'm sick of that. So
Yeah.
I ended up in a 5x8 room.
Now a
It's
5x8.
smaller.
Yeah, somehow
But it's
that's
padded.
smaller.
So,
Okay, but it's padded, so that's
yes.
better. That gives
and
you.
this is my happy place. I love being here. I love playing
hear
behind
you.
the microphone. So
I hear you.
I started at 10 years old singing. My dad always said that I would either be a politician or a radio disc jockey because of my my gift of gab and the way that I like to spin the truth now and then.
What would you sing? That's my question. What genre? What would you sing? Jazz? You singing, classic rock?
Classic rock for the most part.
Classic rock.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually,
What-
back in 2000, I was Ed McMahon's NextBigStar.com winner of the rock category.
What did you sing?
I sang Bed of Roses by Bon Jovi.
Oh my God! Of
Yeah.
course. Well, at least you sang Bon Jovi. I was just gonna say I'm thinking Bob Seger. I don't
I've
know
done
why.
some Bob. Yeah, I've done some Bob.
Done some Bob Seger.
I like the Doors.
Yeah.
My go-to when the bands are playing and they're like, "Hey, come up and sing." My go-to is Roadhouse Blues.
Oh God! Well, if we are lucky, bosses, we might get to hear maybe I don't know, a bar or two of.
Maybe if you go to Uncle Roy's this year, or maybe actually if you went to Uncle Roy's next year, I'll talk to them.
Next year. Oh, yeah. Hey, I personally have never heard you sing, and I would absolutely love to hear you sing. So let's...
You might be able to YouTube something.
Oh.
Just saying. There might be
all right,
some
so-
poison out there.
Before we talk a little bit more about your journey into voiceover, because you've had such a long history behind the mic, I need to ask you about the 7.36 pounds of shelled blue peanut M&Ms that you requested from me. In my little inquiry into, hey, you want to be a podcast guest? What do you require? And so you asked me for shelled blue peanut M&Ms, and I could only find the brown ones. So
And yet they're still not here.
somehow, but they're virtually here.
Oh, virtually. Okay, great. I don't know. I was just trying to think of something weird to put on
I
there
love
that
it.
I need because I really don't need anything.
I love it.
the most part.
I'm actually kind of hungry for some M&Ms. But Jim, it's already been such a wonderful 5 minutes chatting with you. I can't wait to dive deeper into your journey. So share with our listeners how your journey, kind of got to be 20 plus years behind the mic doing radio. How did you get there? As a small child, you were singing, right? Were you singing classic rock at the age of 10? Is that?
I was singing what was considered just normal pop music, I guess,
Yeah.
because at the time, classic rock was just, music.
Yeah.
But I did that. But when I got into school, I really got into the mixing things, and I was making mixtapes before mixtapes were a thing.
I made mixtapes. I remember
was
them.
scratching records so things would skip at a certain point, and you put a quarter on top to make it not skip. And do you remember the old Mr. Jaws, Dr. Demento?
Oh, God, yes.
I might be dating myself here,
I
but
listen to Dr. Demento every Sunday evening.
Love
Oh, my
Dr.
God, my
Demento.
favorite show.
but they always had Mr. Jaws. It was kind of like a Mr. Jaws. So why are you
Yes.
here right now? And then
Yes.
it'd be a song. So I used to try to do those myself. I've always done
And Delilah. I listened to Delilah, too.
Delilah. Yes.
Yeah, Delilah's on the air forever.
But then I got into radio when I was in high school.
Okay.
I was at a party. I think I was a senior Senior? I was a senior. It was a junior's party. He was trying to be class president. And I was just there being me. I mean, I am your extrovert. You know, I talk to everybody. I say hi to everybody. It gets me in trouble sometimes, but whatever. But I was just being me, and this guy walked up and said, hey, listen, I'm the lawyer of this small little cable radio station downtown Woburn, which is my hometown. He goes, do you want to try out? Okay, so I went home the next day. I got my Peter Brady tape recorder where you have to hold down the record. And you know what I'm talking about there.
I know exactly. I used one of those in college when I was recording. I was recording textbooks onto tape.
Oh, there you go.
I know. The realistic. Or it was a Panasonic. I can't remember.
I think it was realistic because I did have a Radio Shack within walking distance, and my transistor
Everybody
was a
did. Exactly. Everybody did. Did you get? Wait, I'm sorry, but I see we're just going all over the place. But did you? My brothers are very much into Heathkits. Building electronics. Heathkits, yeah, building electronics. Like we get that from Radio Shack. Oh my God, they would just build their own little like transistor radios and stuff.
I never got into that, but I mean, as I got into radio, I did get my engineering, junior engineering badge from the engineering people. But whatever. So I went home the next day. I had my Peter Brady tape recorder, and I had my Precore 8-track player, my stereo system at home. And yes, I'm name dropping here with Precore. And I put in Led Zeppelin. And, you know, I talked out of a Led Zeppelin song. And I had to wait because, you know, you couldn't rewind 8 tracks. So you only had one take. Yep. You had to wait for the next song. It took me all afternoon to get like 3 intros and 3 outros. And I ended up getting the gig, which was kind of cool. They made me change my name. They didn't want anybody to know that a high school kid was working at the station. But yet they gave me like one of those shiny, flashy 80s type of radio jackets with my name on it and the call letters. And I DJ'd all the high school functions and things. So everybody knew.
Can I ask what name they gave you?
I was Jumpin' Jim Jacobs.
All right, Jumpin' Jim.
You ready for this? This just came to me.
Love
Jumpin' Jim Jacobs. 935-3378 WLHE.
Wow.
Larry Habar Enterprises.
I love it.
Larry lives 2 towns away from me right now. We had lunch about a month ago, the owner of the station.
Now, explain to me, so you just were fascinated. Did you listen to the radio all the time, and then you were just mimicking all the DJs? Because the DJs got all the chicks, apparently.
You know,
that's what it was back in the 80s anyways.
Yeah. Have you heard of Dale Dorman? He's a Boston guy from KISS, but Dale Dorman and one other guy, I forget his name, but they invented Top 40 radio.
Okay.
They were at a bar one night and they watched people put quarters in to hear the same 15, 20 songs all night long.
That makes sense.
They made that format. And Dale Dorman was also on the local TV station as, you know, hey, kiddies, that after school type of thing. I just loved the guy, and I just wanted to be him. I wanted to do what he did, and I just set focus on it, and I ended up doing it. I met Dale Dorman. The program director of the small station I worked for was the assistant PD of KISS 108 Boston, and that's where Dale Dorman was, and she brought us in for a program meeting, and God, my mind was just blown at that point, and I said, this is what I need to do. Got out of high school. I went to college for it, went to school for it, interned, did many, many years, and it was like, you know, here I am learning from these people that I think are phenomenal, but they're teaching because they can't make ends meet. So I got out of radio for about 10 years, 15 years, and I did stand-up comedy, and I always talked about getting on the air again because if I'm doing morning radio, I can't hear them not laughing when I tell jokes. You know, I just play a soundtrack. So I turned 35, and I said, you know
laughs
what?
Then.
Yeah, exactly. I turned 35 and said, I have to do this. So I just put everything else aside, and I did it.
Now, let me ask you, because you said, you know, most of the people couldn't afford, you know, working in radio, so they were teachers. Is that always been the case in radio? Is it always been such a, you know, maybe not the best paying gig, but the people in radio love radio? I mean, it's like being in an abusive relationship. It really is. It slaps you around, and I'll tell it's like podcasting, back. I'm going to say, because for me, I'm going to tell you that podcasting is my radio show in a way. It really is, you know.
The only difference is I was waking up at 2:30, quarter of 3 every morning to get my butt whipped every day.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a passion. You hear that word passion with VO. It's the same thing with radio. It was just something that I needed to do. I needed to have that live interaction. And as far as the money goes, it's kind of like VO. It depends what market that you're being played in. I was doing mornings in Nashua, New Hampshire, which is about 30 miles away from Boston as the crow flies, about a 40-minute trip. My salary compared to somebody doing the exact same thing on the exact same type of station was they probably were about 5 or 6 times more than I was making. Just the average guy. Now, if you became a star, then you're up in the $250,000 in Boston market, but not in Nashua.
Yep.
So yeah. But I loved it, and you got the perks. I mean, I'd go to concerts. I'd be backstage at concerts. My favorite thing was going on stage and throwing T-shirts out at people and, saying, hey, I'm Fronk from Frank 106 or from 104.9 The Hawk. And people scream and they know me. And I just love that. I really love that.
Yeah.
Just being a part of the community. I was very fortunate that the morning show I did for 106.3 Frank FM, I was part of the community. And so when I was doing, I would announce football games. My daughter did cheerleading, but I would announce the Pop Warner football games, and I would go, and people would know who I was. But I was very active in the community, and I loved that. I loved being known, but
you
loved
were
being
like
able
a
to
local
take
celebrity.
Yeah, but I was able to take that celebrityism and put it to good work as opposed to evil, like I did back in the 90s.
Sorry. And that's another podcast.
Yeah, I don't think the restraining orders are up yet for that one, so we really can't talk about it.
Well, now, so you 20 years in radio, 20 years.
20 plus, yeah.
Now,
I mean, it's...
Did you say you were doing synonymously, you were doing radio, and then you went into comedy, or how did that work? Was it?
I was doing comedy first.
Okay.
I was a wedding DJ, function DJ, when karaoke was all the buzz.
Yep.
I had my own karaoke company. I had like 35 shows.
Look at you being a boss entrepreneur at a young age.
Yeah.
I mean, bosses, just I want you to listen to this. All of the people that come on this show. I mean, they're entrepreneurs in so many ways, and that was so creative. I mean, Jim, first of all, just being in high school, right, and going after your dreams, and really having the bravery to go, to just try out for the radio station and get the gig, right, at such a young at such a young age, and then really, God, you've got to be brave to do stand-up comedy. That's for sure.
Stand-up comedy, 5 minutes can seem like 20 minutes.
Yes.
20 minutes can seem like 5 minutes. It all depends on the energy of the crowd. And
sure.
But I tell you, that first time I got up on stage, and the very first time I was hosting a pretty big deal. It was at Berkeley, 5,000 seats. I was hosting it. Not really hosting, telling jokes, just kind of introducing people.
Yeah.
But I had a couple
emceeing
jokes.
kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had a couple jokes. That first joke I told, and when they laughed, that wave that hit me, that became my drug.
Gotcha.
That became what I craved. That became what I had to accomplish on a Monday night up in Vermont for a slice of pizza, or a Tuesday doing an open mic night at the KFC in Billerica, Mass. I mean, it's just, you did what you had to do. But once again, a passion for it.
Now, okay, so passion aside, I'm sure there were some jokes that probably didn't make it. And so there was probably a lot of maybe did you experience like imposter syndrome? I mean, I can only imagine. Like, I think stand-up comedy's got to be one of the hardest skills. I mean, it's like improv too. I feel like we all need it, right? And it just really builds our character, because there's just so many things we have to be quick on our feet about. And I'm sure that all of this is leading up to a really fabulous career in voiceover, because all of those skills have led up to who you are as an actor today.
And as far as jokes bombing, I'm looking for a reaction.
Yeah.
You can oh or boo. Or, hey, I got a reaction.
Okay.
And if something just didn't work, I really didn't care.
You laughed at it. Oh, well, that didn't work.
Pretty much. I mean, sometimes I'd make a joke about it and take a paper out of my pocket and say, okay, or fake paper, and say, okay, scratch that one off the list.
Yeah,
I mean,
that didn't work.
Okay, that doesn't work in Poughkeepsie. All right, fine. But yes, everything I've done coming up to this is has helped me in VO. the radio,
has contributed.
the live stuff, the comedy, the improv, and all that. I got out of radio back in 2018 because it was just impersonal to me. I wasn't doing mornings. I wasn't doing a talk show. I craved that interaction. I didn't like just talking up 15 seconds of a song coming out. And, I'm great at trivia, music trivia. You give me 10 seconds of any song from 1960 to 1992, and I can probably tell you what it is. But it just wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't satisfying.
Yeah.
I did get into flying drones for a bit, believe it or not. A friend of mine.
That's random.
It really is. But it was a passion. I flew a drone.
Radio, VO, drones.
Yeah, well, I flew the drones, and I loved it. I got a passion for it. I was making some great money doing cell tower inspections and infrared. At one point, I had more money invested in drones than I did in Harley Davidsons.
Or in your microphone, maybe?
Or in my microphone's not even close. Do you know how many U-87s? I sold one of my drones
for your
two
drones.
cameras, and I bought my daughter a brand new Jeep.
Wow.
Yeah, they were up there. But it just wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to be behind the microphone again.
Okay.
And a buddy of mine, AJ Duquette, I think you were on the show. A buddy of mine, AJ Duquette, a radio guy, he's doing VO, and he told me about J. Michael Collins. Mm-hmm. And I was driving home 2 years ago, year ago April. I was driving home from New York City on Clubhouse, and I think you were on it, J. Michael, and I want to say Liz Atherton. And
we've done a bunch of
and I asked the question. I just got my demos back, and I was like, well, how do I know if I have a good demo?
Yeah.
And J. Michael, we talked afterwards, and he went over everything, gave me the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that just got me on the path of, okay, so I'm going to talk to these people. I'm not going to be afraid to approach anybody. Mm-hmm. I'm very approachable, and I'm going to approach as many people in this business that are where I want to be. And it's been great. And that's my advice to everybody. Don't be afraid to approach anybody, because if somebody's not approachable to you, or if somebody doesn't want you to approach them, you don't want them in your circle. Why would you want them in your circle?
Yeah.
I like going to Dallas and seeing Ann Ganguza from down the hall and going, Ann! And she's like, Jim! That's what it's all about. Making connections, having some fun.
It's all about the relationships, really.
It really is.
Absolutely about the relationships. So let's kind of continue on with the voice acting. So you got into voice acting around 2018.
Oh, no. I got into drones in 2018.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
I actually celebrated 2 years in VO from when I started in September. This past September. So
gotcha.
It's been about 2 years and a month or two. But I got into it. I got some training. Mm-hmm, I did about 5 or 6 months worth of training with a great coach, Tim Powers. Mm-hmm. You've met Tim, actually.
I know Tim, absolutely.
Tim has become a great mentor and even a better friend. Mm-hmm. But from there, I got my demos. And like I said, how do I know they're good? And I just started doing the marketing thing. Sure. And I've since redone my demos. I'm a different animal now, different everything. And I kind of went feet first. And I thank my wife so much for that. We talk about not making money in radio. We all know the struggles that actors have, and
not
we are
making
actors.
money in voiceover.
Yeah, I mean, just acting alone. Mm-hmm. But God bless my wife. She's very successful in the pharmaceutical business. Mm-hmm. So when the time came, we sat down and talked, and she said, when we first met, I was making $5,000 a year less than you, and you were in radio. And I'm like, I know. But we have flipped the switch. She's gone so far. So she said, do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Invest what you need to invest. Get the right equipment. You know what you need. You've been in the business. You can build radio stations. Get what you need. So I did, and here I am 2 years later, and I'm getting clients. I'm booking gigs. I'm doing animation, video games, e-learning. It's been great.
What would you say your favorite genre to work in is? And is it contributed? And I would say, because I'm always a big proponent of people bring their experience to behind the mic. And I feel like maybe your stand-up comedy, your DJing, your networking, I feel like that all works for you in specific genres.
I have Well, animation I love. I love playing in animation. I'm right now. I've got the allergies going on, so my voice is kind of right now. But I love being able to, like, to just pop into a character and be like, "My mind is now melted with 3.0, and I will rule the world." I mean, just have some fun. Well,
Yeah.
of course I will. I am evil. I am Ludo, the evil one. I just love having fun with that. Video games. I love the acting. I love the
Absolutely.
the cinematography and
Yep.
the acting. I trained with Dave Fronk, and
Yes,
he's
amazing.
yes, and once again, people say, "How'd you train with Dave Fronk?" You know,
You asked.
I asked. I went to his website and
Yep.
I booked some sessions, and there we are. Dave's a great friend now. I mean, he's become
wonderful.
such a great mentor.
Yeah.
And so I love video games. You know what I really love doing, and I hate to say it because I have spent, I'm going to say $10,000 in training, maybe over the past couple of years, maybe even more. I hate to look at the numbers, but to beat the DJ out of me. You know, every time that I slip back into that DJ voice, my coach would say, "And now up, here's the doobies," just to snap me back.
Yeah.
But I love doing Tier 3 automotive.
Well,
Because
Tier 3 automotive is you're a DJ.
It's radio DJ delivery. It's what I do in my sleep. So I'm really loving doing
Absolutely.
that. I've been training with Chris Zellman. He's been great.
Jim, I lost you.
Oh no.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
I
you're back.
see you.
You're back. I just lost your audio there for a second. But I feel like, Tier 3 automotive, I do a little bit of that myself, and it's not as easy as we want it to be because they're really trying to cram a lot of words.
But I was also production director of a 6-station cluster for many years. So, I mean, I was giving the commercials away.
So you know.
And so I know. And most of those were that type of delivery.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
that salesy delivery, that hype, you know, no money down. And you can, you know, it's which is so 80s DJ. It's just ingrained in me.
It is. And so
I do
now,
love that.
we all have to be authentic. And maybe not for Tier 3 auto still. However, talk to me about authenticity and how maybe your background and having a radio show. I feel like having a radio show, you know, maybe not by just announcing commercials or announcing what the next song is, but I think if you're doing like talk radio and you're really, you know, you're really getting down and personal with your listeners, I feel like that helps you to be authentic, and you can kind of call upon that experience to really help you be authentic in your, you know, commercial delivery or even narration delivery or e-learning delivery.
Well, before I was doing morning radio, it was just that hype. Morning radio was kind of hype, but it was a lot more comedy. We did bits. It was always Jim, like Frank's Place with Jim and so, or you know, the Jim and so morning show. So it was always my animal to drive, my vehicle, and just to have that interaction, it was very conversational. And I did talk radio for the last 3 or 4 years of my career with radio, and that became very conversational.
Yeah.
That's just raw me.
Yep.
So when I was able to unlock that again, because we all know, you know, talking conversational and just talking like we're talking now is, you know, natural. You should be able to do that.
Easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
But when it's
not
words
easy
on
when
a
there's
page,
piece of paper. Yeah, when it's a piece of paper in front of you and it's somebody else's words, you have to learn how to do that.
Absolutely.
One of the things that helped and hindered me was my ability for live read. I love being the first guy in workshops. I love reading stuff cold. I can't tell you how many times I'd be on the air and somebody would, you know, give me a piece of paper and say, "Read this." And I have the ability to read about 5 or 6 seconds ahead of what I'm saying, which was good for that, but I was disconnected from my words. I was on autopilot.
Any cold read is you know,
Right.
you're executing from left to right, and you don't know what the story is. So.
But even after I read it once or twice, I would still be reading ahead, which, you know, hindered me to get that connectivity with the listener, with the client, with the audience. So when I learned to put that behind me, and I'm going to say live in the moment, but read in the moment, be in the moment, my conversational game went up considerably.
Yeah.
And now I think that I have a very conversational read when it is asked for that. No
Well, good.
salesy, no announcer.
That's right.
Yeah.
No announcers, and that's getting the DJ, getting the radio.
But then I get to go back to tier 3 and have some fun with it.
And have your
know?
fun then.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Come on down. The price
And
is right.
I have roles in telephony that I can be as thank you for calling. Your call's important to us. I can be that fun, smooth, promo-y sound.
That's a lot of fun sometimes.
For the most part, for the most part, we're all about the authenticity. Speaking of authenticity, from a few of the things that you've already talked about, you were so into drones, you were into like video games. I get this feeling, and from talking to you, previously, that you are kind of a geek. You are a tech geek. And so that kind of leads you into yet another talent of yours, which is websites. And I want to make sure that we have time to get into websites for voice actors and talk to us a little bit about your expertise, number one, and what got you into web development, first of all, and foremost. And let's talk about what's important in a voice actor website.
Well, for the most part, with the radio stations, you wear many hats. And I was brand manager and web guru and graphic artist. I have some graphic artists. I know enough about Photoshop to get you and I in a lot of trouble, but not enough to really, make any money at it. As far as
except nobody uses Photoshop anymore. It's all Canva.
Well,
but I get it. Photoshop was definitely a skill.
When I was deciding. When I was getting out of radio, getting out of the drones, I was actually going back and forth between VO and maybe going to school for graphic arts. Because I really enjoy that. But I was thinking to myself, it's a three-year program, $36,000. I'll be 58 when I graduate. Do I really want to enter that type of field where I'm so far behind technology-wise than the kids are these days? I said, my happy place is behind the microphone, so that's what I did.
Gotcha.
Every business that I've had, I've designed my own websites. I've used Wix my whole life. So when I say I'm a website builder, I'm a Wix master, is what I go by. And there's just so much that's come along with website development. It's actually very user-friendly, but people need to be taught how to use it. So when you say I'm a website developer, I'm more of a website instructor.
Okay.
What I like to do is I have something. It's a 3-hour website do-it-yourself, learn by doing creation class, where we'll sit down together. You'll watch me on the screen, and you'll mimic what I'm doing. I'll show you where I'm getting things. I'll teach you how to do things. So by the end of the 3 hours, you should have a 1-page voiceover specific website ready to go, ready to be hosted, and I'll go in there afterwards and go, because I'm always like an admin, and I'll go in and I'll tighten things up, and I'll put a little couple extra, spinny effects and different things to make them happy, So, but I found that so many people didn't have the crucial items for a website, for a VO website, and other people are charging, $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 to build a website. And we're in a business where we're not making any money, but you have to have your online.
Sure, absolutely. That's how you're marketing to.
So I try to help people learn how to do that, so that they don't come back to me and say, "Hey, can you upload my new demos?" No, they're going to know how to upload their own demos. If they have a problem, I'm always here. I will build a website for somebody. It's twice the money. And when I'm done, if you need help, I'm gonna, there'll be an hourly stipend to be your web guy.
Sure.
I'd rather give you something that's cheaper, that takes me more time, but to teach you something. So that's what I'm doing. You can find that at websitesforvo.com. It's very easy. I've designed other sites and gotten really deep, like Dave Fenoy, for instance. Dave has become a great friend, but his website was terrible. I mean, no downloadable demos. Granted, he's Dave Fenoy, but still, links that went to things that were expired. Event page that the latest event was 2019. It just wasn't conducive for somebody that's in the business. So
sure,
I decided I kind of owed him a favor. Dave became a really good friend. He helped me out. We started off by coaching. He helped me out directing my demo. He's helped me out with a lot of coaching that was unexpected. So I, instead of sending him a bottle, which a friend of mine said, just send him a bottle and say thank you, I decided to do a deep dive into his website, and I completely revamped it on Wix. All of his scheduling. You're a Wix person.
I am a Wix person.
I've seen your schedule, and I see. Don't you love how it's all in the back door there?
I love my Wix website.
Your payments, your tickets, your events, everything. So Dave, being a techie guy, a web guy, when I went to book my first gig with Dave, it took me about 20 minutes to figure out.
And it was like, email me, or, there are some coaches out there that like, well, email me for pricing or email me to get set up. And that to me is like, why would you do that?
Go to Venmo and do this here, and then I'll send you my Calendly link. And,
exactly.
Yeah. So I went in, I took care of Dave's, and I taught him how to do it. He's now putting on his own events. And he's doing all the ticketing and all the ticket sales and all the marketing, all the social marketing, all in the back door of Wix. So I taught him that. I try to teach everybody that because there are things that you need for your website.
Yes. What are those things? Let's talk about those critical things.
Number one, downloadable demos above the fold. Everything I'm talking about right now is above the fold. I've talked to a lot of agents, casting directors. They don't want to click. They don't want to scroll. They don't want to look. So right there, front and center, downloadable demos, ready to go. Your name, obviously. Something that shows your personality. Something that shows a little bit, whether it's a logo, a picture, something that shows who you are. And if we have some fun with it, have some fun with it. Your contact info should always be in the header. So when they scroll, if they scroll, your contact info is always there. Stays there. One of the main things that a lot of people don't have is a call to action button. Okay, I'm on your website. I'm the customer. Look at your website as a customer. I'm a customer. I found your website. I like your demos. What do I do now? There's a button there that says request a free audition. What's that all about? I mean, you and I, we all know auditions are free.
Of course.
We'll all audition. We're not paying to audition. We're not getting paid to audition.
Well, sometimes we do. Sometimes we do, but they don't know that.
But they're getting a complimentary free audition. Send me a 30-second snippet of your script, and I'll send you back an audio sample of what it will sound like performed by me. And I can tell you 6. I've gotten 6 jobs off of that so far. Contact me is not a call to action. Maybe you offer some other service. Maybe you want to, I think it was Mark Scott said something about, these are 6 ways to book me. Give them something, something that has some information, whether it's directly related to booking you or VO related, but have that call to action button. Those are the basic things. Yeah. Everything else after that is fluff. You go to my website, I probably have 15, 16 pages. I had some people actually write the SEO for me. It's all fluff. It really is.
Is it for SEO?
There.
Let's talk about SEO.
It's for SEO.
What about SEO lately? Is SEO worth anything at this point? Still, because of, let's say, generative AI, which is generating content in seconds. Now, all of a sudden, it used to mean something with our websites, right? That we had, identifying words and words that could be found. But I feel like that whole SEO pony might be changing a little bit as things start to evolve.
It is changing. It's getting simpler for people. And with a program like Wix, they actually have an SEO. And by the way, I don't get paid by Wix. I'm not endorsed by Wix. It's just what I know. I've tried Squarespace. I've gone. Play button's a play button, rewind's rewind, picture's picture. But I just didn't like how the whole system worked together. Wix was very user friendly. If you can do Canva, you can create a website.
Canva changed the game. Canva changed the game.
They made it easy for
Wix
people.
is changing the game. And some people might say, well, what in VO is changing the game? I mean, we could talk about that if we wanted to. However,
so much in VO
tell me about tell me about a VO actor. How can they change the game to make it successfully in voiceover? What can they do to change their game to make it and not be so afraid of all this technology that's people are just, oh my God, the robots are going to take our jobs away. Let's talk about.
No, they're not.
What
the
can we
robots
do?
can't act. The
What can we
robots
do?
can't
There you go.
change.
We need to act, right? They can't
Get training.
improv. They can't improv. They can't.
Exactly.
They can't crack a good joke. Well, sometimes they crack dad jokes.
Yeah, well.
But yeah.
All right, so I get a lot of my dad jokes from chat. No, I'm just kidding. But what you can do is be authentic, be human. You know, show your range, show your emotion. When you show up for a gig, be the person that they want to work with. Don't be the person that they're waiting on.
Yeah.
You know, be fun, be happy. Yeah. Don't be a nuisance to anybody that is hiring you or that you're working with, because you never know who's going to say, "Hey, Jim was here 2 months ago.
Sure.
He'd be great for this spot." You know, it could be the engineer. You never know.
Yep. You never know.
You know, I mean, you have to have your online inline, which I try to help people do, because your website may not generate any business for you right off the bat, but you have to have that presence.
Yes,
you have to be able
do.
to, you know, it has to be something that's not, you know, wixsite.com/Jim Fronk 55. It has to be jimfronk.com, you know, or jimfronkvo.com, yournamevo.com.
Sure.
And keep it simple. Keep those domain names simple.
So you're easily found.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to be, you know, Fronk the Voice. I had all these domain names that I was going to do. Jim Fronk was available for the first time in a long time, because I looked for it back when I was doing stand-up comedy. Jim Fronk was available. And I said, you know what?
That's it.
That's it. So I'm Jim at Jim Fronk.
Yep.
So it's so easy to remember.
Yep.
You're double branding your name.
Absolutely.
And as far as changing the game, talk to people. Yeah. Make friends with people. Go to conferences. You know, I'm a huge... A lot of people in this business are introverts, but a lot are extroverts. You know, you got your Naked Jens, you got your Ann Ganguzas, you got your Jim Fronks. We're out there saying hi to people, you know, kissing babies, shaking hands, whatever the case is. Get out there and say hi to people. And if you're not that type of person, find someone that is. Find me. Make friends with me. I'm very approachable. You know, you either hate me or love me, but hopefully you love me. And I'll introduce you to people. I don't care.
There you go. There you go. Words of wisdom, Jim. Thank you for that. And actually, Jim, you have offered the bosses a little deal for your website creation class that you have.
Oh, I have.
Yes, you have. Remember,
yes.
you wrote it down. You wrote it down in my.
I was kind of upset about the peanuts the peanut M&Ms not being here.
But you're going to give our bosses 10% off the website creation class.
I am. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Awesome.
What kind of coupon?
We've got that promo code called VOBOSS10 at checkout.
VOBOSS10.
And we'll be putting that on our show notes pages, guys. So when you look up this episode, we will have that code available. Jim, thank you so much. It's been so exciting talking to you. I mean, you have such an amazing history. Yeah, I mean, we're actually kind of 10 minutes over. See how time flies when you just have so much fun? We're going to have you come back. We're going to have you come back, Jim. It's really been amazing. And thank you for sharing your wisdom, your wonderful personality, your fun, amazing, just fun, amazing who you are, Jim Fronk, with us. Yes. Bosses, I want you to take a moment and imagine a world full of passionate, empowered, diverse individuals that are giving collectively and intentionally to create the world that they want to see. You can make a difference. Visit 100voiceswhocare.org to learn more. And a big shout out to our sponsor, IPDTL. You too can network and connect like bosses like Jim and myself, just like Jim has been talking about all episode. Find out more at IPDTL.com. Jim, thanks again. You've been amazing. Bosses, have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Ann. Thank you so much.
Thank you.